But first, our top story tonight. India has been debating free speech over the last 2 weeks. The fire that started in Ramjas College of Delhi University's North Campus. So far, the debate has been in shades of saffron and red. A fight between the BJP student body, ABVP, and the left-wing ISA. No space for objectivity, no neutral voices. In fact, the students of Ramjas College, which was the epicenter of the fights, have rarely been heard. Their voices have not been listened to. Today, therefore, I'm going to be starting our program by bringing you the reality, the neutral voice of Ramjas students. We first want to play you a video shot by those students on the standoff of the college, where we will, after which we will bring you their eyewitness accounts. Take a look.
Not the nation we want. This is about freedom of speech. It's not even about who's coming or who's not coming. This is gundagardi. It is not gundagardi. I do not know what.
हमारे आई कार्ड चेक कर रहे हैं, इनके आई कार्ड कौन चेक करेगा? कौन चेक करेगा?
They are standing by the gate and checking our I cards, beating us up in our own college.
So that is a video which Ramjas students themselves have shot. As I said, until now the debate has focused around left versus right. It's time now to hear the voices of the students who were at the center of it all, who saw it all, the eyewitnesses to this story. I'm joined by Abhinash. He's a student of Ramjas College and one of the organizers of the seminar that was to take place. Archit Singhal is a student of Ramjas College also, who was there for both the days. And I'm also joined by Parth Manik Tala, you're a student of Hansraj College, and importantly, you were not there at the spot, but you will tell us what your friends who were there saw it. But I want to first therefore come to the two of you who were there at the spot itself. Abhinash, you organized this. Tell us what happened that day. It's now almost a week, exactly a week that it happened. What happened? How did the violence start? Give us an exact detailed account of what happened.
So if I need to start, it was around 9:30 in the morning that I arrived in the college, around 9, and the panel was to begin at 9 o'clock. So the first thing as I arrived into the college is I was standing at the registration desk and a policeman comes and asks about why Umar Khalid. So he raises a question about the name Umar Khalid itself.
This is at 9:30 in the morning.
It's around 9:30 in the morning that he raises a question about it. And I say that we do not need the permission of the police, that we have the written permission of the principal and hence we can go on. To which he says no, that he is a Deshdrohi और आप ऐसे देशद्रोही कार्य कैसे कर सकते हैं? To which one of my professors who's standing at an earshot distance comes and we engage in a talk. It gets dispersed, but I see ABVP members standing over there and brandishing their lathis. That's visible. I anticipate an agitation in them. I go into the conference room. I sit quietly.
ABVP members with lathis are there with the policemen?
Yeah, and they're brandishing their lathis just behind the wall where we were talking. So there's a wall on the left of it. To which I go into the seminar room, I sit there. This goes on for quite a lot of time. We anticipate there is going to be violence. And at 11 o'clock or 11:15, there's a call. I mean, there's an entire discussion that we need to meet the principal because we have to see what is the condition. So few teachers and apparently the college president had some delegation to meet the principal to say that this has to be cancelled, that Umar Khalid has to be disinvited. To which some of my professors go into the principal and they are terrorized, they are threatened that if Umar Khalid comes by the police, Delhi police, the DCP North actually in fact, that if Umar Khalid comes up, we won't be able to provide security and whatever shall turn up will be your responsibility. Listening to which we cancel Umar Khalid's invitation as well as Shaila Rasid, who was supposed to come the next day. Now this is quite clear, this happens. After which, we quietly proceed back to the conference room. The second panel has begun. This is around 11:30, and it's all. And as soon as this happens, they take a violent march. The ABVP supporters, they're.
Now, what do you mean by a violent march? I want to be very clear.
Yes,
Today,
sloganeering.
I want you all to tell us, because in my program so far, we've just had two sides shouting at each other. So what do you mean by violent march?
There's sloganeering, there's heavy sloganeering, there's teasing to us, the other party, who were the organizers, and Bharat Mata Ki Jai, of course, their favorite weapon, that happens. We are silent, we go in, the second panel gets over around 1:30. Then we spontaneously, the academia present inside the conference hall is totally saddened by what happened, by the disinvitation of Umar Khalid, and we decide spontaneously to come out and show our solidarity, the academia shows solidarity to us, that we want Umar Khalid and Shaila Rashid to speak, and it was really sad that we have disinvited them. We march, and you see, as we march across the college shouting Gundagardi se Azadi, Deshdrohiyon se, all that, that Gundagardi se Azadi and all that.
No, 1 minute. So you all stage a counter march of your own. Where is the ABVP at that moment? It was not a counter march.
Yeah, it was not a counter march.
We wanted to condemn this idea that these guys are perpetrating violence and almost terrorizing us and stopping the seminar. So we want to all the academia wanted to show us sort of a solidarity that we condemn this act.
The ABVP students had entered your campus? They were inside the campus?
They were inside the campus.
Outside.
So we took a rally. So after about 1 hour, we came back to the conference hall where the seminar was being held, and ABVP was in front of us. Between the both of these groups was a police chain, and these guys were hurling abuses at us. These guys were threatening us with violence, and ABVP, clearly we know people from ABVP were there, and so they were threatening us.
Not from your college.
And this was after the Umar Khalid and Shaila Rashid's invitation got cancelled.
Were they from your college?
There were some people were from the college, from the college union, and also ABVP was there.
So they were the ones who were shouting these abuses. Where was ISA, the left union at that
exactly
time?
As has been portrayed by the mainstream media, this is the ISA versus the ABVP. It's absolutely wrong. ISA people, some of them, couple of people were there as in their independent capacities to witness the seminar. But the struggle was of the Ramjas people, Ramjas academic community, who wanted the seminar to be held against the ABVP, at the cost of which ABVP was just almost assaulting us.
So on day one, last Wednesday, there were no two groups involved in the clashes. There were just Ramjas students and academics who were staging a protest against the fact that Umar Khalid had been disinvited, versus the ABVP who were shouting and hurling abuses.
Absolutely.
Was there any violence? Was there any stones thrown?
It's also very.
There is a shot there of a chair being thrown.
It's also very. That's the second day.
That's the second day.
The first day what happened is I was standing in the human chain to protect all the people who were trying to get into the conference room. There was a violent attack. Some people had taken control over the seminar room's terrace.
And from there they were throwing stones at us.
They were throwing balti. One person was hurt, broke the right collarbone. Or left collarbone, I'm not very sure.
But in spite of this, we went inside the seminar because we wanted to continue the seminar because the show must go on. When we started the seminar, 5 minutes into the seminar, these guys started throwing stones at us. The glass broke down. The glass window of the conference hall broke down, and stones started coming at us, and we had to take this decision.
ABVP students started throwing stones at
us. Only ABVP people were hurling because they were.
You know them. You can identify them.
Yes.
Has the police asked you to identify them?
Not at all. The police was standing on the ground when the stone pelting happened. There were 4 stones thrown in consecutive 3 minutes. We were captivated. People like Sanjay Kak and Bimal Akoijam were in the room. We had to take shelter under the tables and chairs. We were stranded there for around 40 minutes. The police had locked all the entrances. So the stone pelting was happening, and we were locked inside the room.
I want viewers to understand, these are not students who belong to any union. They are not NSUI. They are not ABVP. They are not ISA. These are students telling you the real story of what happened that day in the college campuses. That is the significance of what is going on. I just want, before I come to my third student, since he wasn't at the spot, but I want to ask you, the decision to invite Umar Khalid, who took that decision? The academic community or the students, you as the organizers?
See,
knowing that he has a sedition case against him.
I have to make 2 things clear. This was a democratic process by the Department of English, Ramjas College, with consultation with the principal, who agreed in writing to invite Umar Khalid. This was a decision consisting of the Literary Society of the college as well as the Department of English. Secondly, of course, the charge sheets hadn't been filed then. He was a free citizen, independent, and I think that's enough.
So you all thought that you wanted a variety of opinion, diversity. You did not see him as is being seen today by the ABVP as anti-national.
No,
of course
because
not.
He was going to speak about his PhD topic, which is on Bastar, and the topic of the panel was regions in conflict.
Kashmir, Manipur and Bastar.
Bastar.
So you are saying even moment that they knew that Omar Khalid was there, they were already there with lathis.
Yeah.
The police was standing by, stones were thrown. You are saying that while the stone throwing was going on, the police did nothing to stop it. Until today, no policeman of the Delhi police has come to you to identify the boys involved.
No.
Absolutely.
Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
This is the reality that is slowly coming out in all the noise, and today is not a day for the noise. There has been enough noise over the last few days, whether over Gurmeher, politicians, ministers speaking. I want young students to tell the truth. The truth is coming from the students. Parth Manik Tala, you are a student at Hansraj. You joined the protest. Why did you then join the protest the next day, the protest march? What is it? Solidarity with your friends from Ramjas? Are you all angry that outside elements, I'm using the word outside elements, are now coming into the campus?
Exactly. So right at the outset, I'd like to clarify that me alongside all other friends of mine who joined the protest were not joining it because of any political or ideological affiliation. Our act of joining the protest was simply against the use of violence which predominantly happened by the ABVP members. So again, as the media has constantly been portraying it as a left versus right or ISA versus ABVP clash, it isn't at its heart that. It is at its heart a debate about freedom of speech and something that we think that ABVP members have constantly denied the students of Ramjas College and across other colleges as well.
You know, I want to understand this. There are pictures that have come out. There is a picture of an SFI leader, Mr. Bhattacharya, I think, is punching allegedly someone. It came in the Hindu newspaper. Bearded boy. I'll try and get that picture also up. Now, that is leading people to believe that this was a two-way fight.
And that is why we believe it's a farce, because all these ABVP people have this one photograph and they are showcasing everywhere. The thing is, we have a video, and the fact that all these people were in their independent capacities with us.
The video that you are showing is of you all are singing. This is
the second day, but this wasn't that video. But all these people, some people from ISA, some people from SFI were there just to support us because they were with us as freedom of, because of their belief.
Did the ISA and the ABVP get into a clash on day one? No. On day two?
They were there outside of Ramjas College, but the main point was that these guys they have the whole video where these guys, ABVP, are beating everyone outside college. Outside college, they're beating everyone with stones, they're pelting stones, eggs at all these people are outside Ramjas College, and probably some of them indulged in self-defense. And they've just one photograph these guys are showcasing as proof.
You have the video?
I don't have a video right now, but I can see if I have a video right now, but we have videos.
So your videos are of people pelting stones at you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Rajdeep, I think we need to understand that violence from any side is condemned, right? I mean, I'm not going to go into the debate of who hit whom, but the point, what I saw on 21st of February 2017, that people marched in, people hit us, I broke my spectacles. I mean, the people who hit me on that day are still in college, that we go to college and sit in the same class.
So they're still there?
Yes, and we are scared for our lives.
And there hasn't been any disciplinary action against them until now by the college authorities. And that's a thing to be noted and to be told about.
So you are saying the boys who are engaging in the violence are actually members of Ramjas College.
Yes.
They belong to a student union, the ABVP, and the administration of your college also doesn't want to take any action against them. They were the ones who were engaged in the beating up. The ISA and SFI students, according to you, in retaliation, as per that photograph, were involved. What about the girls who are being beaten up? The photographs that have been going on over the last few days, we'll come to those photographs, where girls are being pushed. Which day was that and who was doing that? The pictures of girls being hit.
Which photographs?
There are pictures that I have of girls being beaten up, pushed with the police there. When girls are pushing at them, when did that happen? Was that day one or day two?
Day two.
That was day two.
Because on day two, we were inside Ramjas College, hostage to ABVP. We were held hostage outside Ramjas canteen because we wanted to conduct a silent march in condemnation of what happened the previous day. But we weren't let to do that because ABVP was threatening us with violence, and these guys were threatening the Delhi police that they'll break law and order if we conduct a silent march. And that's why police did not let us to conduct a silent march, and so we were held hostage to
But
ABVP.
these people who are holding you hostage are from your own college, or were they from the outside?
They were also
When you say outsiders, the fact is that some of these are Ramjas College students themselves.
Yeah,
If you see the video carefully, at one point the students of Ramjas College were sitting and singing songs and showing their iCards, flashing it on the camera. But you would see the other side is not doing the same. So there is there's a considerable chance. I mean, on the second day, the police was. Let me contextualize this. On the second day, when I enter college for a department joint statement meeting, I enter college at around 11 o'clock. At that point, the Delhi police is taking Ramjas College iCards. Fine. How did these people enter? How did the outsiders enter the college if the Delhi police is taking iCards? I clearly see there is something going on.
You believe there was a nexus between the Delhi police and the ABVP?
Could be.
And the Delhi police chose to turn a blind eye.
Exactly, because in front of me, I was sitting there in front of me, Delhi police is almost chilling with ABVP people because they know that the police cannot do anything against the ABVP. They're almost chilling in front of us.
Evidence. If you see, the chair is being thrown at a professor.
Yeah, the chair is being thrown at a professor.
And the police gently shoves aside the person who's throwing it. I mean,
and remember this one policeman in front of me, my professor is asking, why can't you take these ABVP people outside college? Because they're threatening us with violence. The policeman in front of me says that why are you singing songs? And we were singing songs of love and friendship, ye dosti. And these guys, and this policeman says, why are you singing songs? And to the reply that why are you not taking these ABVP people out? He's saying, why should we take them out? Why should we take them out of college?
Were there any slogans at all? Were there any slogans at all on that campus that day about Bharat ki barbadi?
No, that is all bullshit.
That is all. Nothing.
No Azadi slogans, nothing.
No,
There was Azadi slogan.
Yes. What was the nature of the slogan?
हमें चाहिए आजादी, महकी महकी आजादी,
मीठी
प्यारी
मीठी
प्यारी
आजादी,
आजादी,
सुंदर सुंदर आजादी,
सुंदर सुंदर आजादी. These were the slogans.
Basically, we wanted azadi of thought. We wanted freedom of expression. The fact that we will not let the seminar did not happen because this is almost they're trying to hijack our freedom of expression. This is our freedom of expression. This is our azadi that we want on campuses to let everyone be free to say whatever they want, to think whatever they want, and be free in discussion and debate, which is our azadi all about. Not because we want, this is not a separatist agenda that we want these parts of India to somehow separate from India.
After all, there was Ramjas ki azadi.
Ramjas ki
we don't
azadi.
want Ramjas to say
No, 1 minute. You said that when you shouted Azadi slogans, you were referring to Ramjas ki Azadi, you were referring to freedom of expression.
Yes.
They will interpret it, the ABVP will interpret it as you are endorsing the Azadi slogans of an Omar Khalid. Let me be very clear, this is a polarized atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And I want our viewers to understand, these are not your typical ABVP ISAR students. They haven't come here for a left-right debate. We have had enough of these left-right debates. I don't want to blame any student union. I just want to know the truth of what happened. I'm getting tweets from ABVP who are saying this is an anti-ABVP campaign. It's not. You must take responsibility if you were involved in what happened on last Wednesday. And you must be man enough to take that responsibility and say, yes, we were involved in violence. But I want to understand from you at the end, do you believe that the atmosphere in the university is now polarized and hostile? I mean, is JNU, what we saw in JNU now going to repeat in DU, where DU is now also getting divided into camps, left versus right? Am I with ABVP? Am I with ISA? Is that something that you fear as a young student today?
So this comes across as a very tried and tested strategy of those in power, that whenever they have to go ahead and disengage with anyone, it is very convenient for them to brandish the entire university as anti-national, which is something that we saw with FTII, which is something that we saw with JNU, and is now a strategy that is conveniently being adopted with Delhi University. The idea is this, that at no point in time do students of Delhi University propose any kind of a secession from India. What we simply propose is the idea that within any university space, we should all have the ability to express what we want to, especially without the fear of people coming ahead and beating us the next day. And that is a fear that is very tangible right now, because there have been people who've been pulled out of classes, people have been receiving threats on Messenger, there were campaigns to change profile pictures, people who've changed their profile pictures have been getting all sorts of threats, and that is something that's very tangible right now and is very saddening right now.
Have you got any threats as an organizer of this seminar? Now be honest, I want a clear answer to this threat, because the other side, the ABVP says that a lot of this is being manufactured. Have you received threats?
Of course we have. I mean, we couldn't be in the campus for 4 days. We can't even go to college now. I was stared at in the college today. I mean, they've recognized us all. I mean, that's
just for the record, the police dropped us after the day 2 protest. They dropped us to very far away metro stations because they themselves told us you shouldn't be in campus right now, because and that created a fear in our minds that yes, we can't stay in campuses because we have a security
threat. There were
threat.
messages being circulated of witch hunts that were being conducted on campus by ABVP people.
And I think another thing that I want to put on record is the fact that the teachers cannot take classes independently, that they're being snooped that people come into classes, barge into classes to see what is being taught, and that there's complete failure of an academic environment. I mean, what kind of academic environment are we if we can't teach and learn what we
And the
wish to?
important thing, again, Rajiv, as you said, that these people, ABVP, will interpret as our slogans as something else, doesn't give them a right to hijack our university campuses and make and spread their own agenda. And this is what they're doing. They're trying to interpret it in their own way, which is their agenda, and they're trying to basically create an environment of this reductionist debate about anti-national and national, and through that they're trying to create this atmosphere of fear in this university environment.
Because someone has now tweeted to me, Ramjas ki azadi, cut the crap. Is Ramjas in the grip of some foreign occupation?
I mean, exactly that. I mean, Ramjas ki azadi doesn't mean that we're going to shift Ramjas out of India. It's simply speaking, Ramjas needs the azadi to speak in itself.
Exactly.
I mean,
the 1 week of incidents, what has happened after these protests makes us believe in this azadi even more, because we want that discussion, debate happens in campus, which hasn't been the case in the previous week, because ABVP people hijack all our debates, all our discussion, and this can't happen in a university where ideas are challenged, where freedom of ideas is the key fundamental on which universities are built, on which universities are flourished.
I mean, there was also this story about why a seminar. I mean, you must understand that the university gets a seminar fund, we get money to organize seminars, and those are classroom spaces. Those are spaces where we learn critically. And to barge into those places to create
this narrative is absolutely false, that there was no permission. Let me make it very clear, any debate, any seminar in college campuses cannot happen without the permission of the principal. That is a fact, and you cannot belie that, absolutely.
And that we
Students are talking about no action from the police. Anvay Mohanty wants to know, did you file a FIR? Why have you all not taken action?
So in fact, I was there at the ITO protest that day. Our sole demand was for the police people to come outside and file a separate FIR for us. Now, what happened on their part was, first of all, a refusal to come out of their office, which also was something that they didn't explain. Once they did come out, they said that, look, we've already filed an FIR and we're not going to file a separate FIR, which again is something that is like a guarantee to us by law, something that they denied. But they said, okay, look, this is an FIR that we filed, and now after 2 hours of us protesting, they gave us a copy of that FIR. And that FIR was also hugely skewed in favor of ABVP and the police, where they constantly denied all charges of them manhandling students. They also refused the fact that ABVP people were pelting stones. All they said was that, well, a clash between the left and the right happened, and the police tried to mediate the clash.
I'm going to ask you one final question that has come to me from someone who is calling himself Mr. Agarwal. Sandeep Agarwal says, kindly tell me, how much have you paid these students? Abhishek Agarwal, how much have you paid these students to come for your show? They are afraid to go to college, but not to come on the media. I want you to give a final word, because today we have reached this level of cynicism where if I bring in students from Ramjas College who have no agenda simply but to tell the truth, think about it when you were 21 or when you were young and when you had idealism in you. And listen then to these students. Tell them what you want to say.
I want to tell Mr. Agarwal that we are actually scared for our lives having come to this show. We are scared that probably tomorrow somebody's going to corner us, and this is the truth. But still, we have gathered the courage to come here because we know that this is important. This is important because if we buckle down right now, the counter narrative, which is so very important, which is real narrative, is not going to be portrayed in the media. So it is important that we, as students, as citizens, as civilians, counter the narrative which is being propagated by these powerful people. And it's important that freedom of expression.
Mr. Agarwal should also know that we are here to say our story, and we're not frightened by anything that happens to us, and that we go to college with this threat and we are ready to live with it. And we are in temples of learning, and I believe, I mean, it's shameful if you say that we are being paid. I mean, that's the worst thing that I could hear.
Somebody else says these three folks are depicting one side of the story. You are biased. You need to get independent voices. What is independent? ABVP is independent. NSUI is independent. ISA is independent. Are student political groups independent, or are 3 young students who tried to organize a seminar and have been targeted for that independence? Please define independence for me, whoever is asking me these questions on Twitter. Yes.
Yes, that most people think that being paid just reflects that they don't expect the youth of this country to have thoughts of their own. That at a point in time where the youth does have a thought, if they don't have any thoughts of their own, that's thought of as apolitical and people who will probably take the country down. And if they do raise their voices, then they're brandished as people who are either anti-national or paid to voice their opinions. Just shows how sad the state of affairs is.
I'm going to ask you one last question. At the end of the day, when you invited Omar Khalid, you must have known that there would be trouble, there would be controversy. Was isn't that something perhaps that you also should have looked at? That when you invite Umar Khalid in this present atmosphere, given the fact that there are ABVP groups who are on your campus who do not like the idea of Umar Khalid, who believe he's anti-national, would you have been safer not to invite him?
I mean, then that's basically, sort of co-opting into their narrative, right? We are here to discuss, exploit, and explore narratives.
You don't belong to left or right. I want to make this clear again and again. It's not left versus right.
And the interesting thing is that the name Umar Khalid was in the posters before also.
If I could just, I'm just cutting you, but I mean, it's overwhelming to see. I mean, if I could say out of personal experience, the number of people who came up in the meetings to suggest Umar Khalid's name. I mean, that was really interesting. I mean, we collectively took it.
I'm interested. If you're watching this across India, remember, Ramjas is not one of those colleges that is like JNU caught in some political tug of war. These are many commerce students who actually want to explore their minds, and they have come on this program. It's not easy. They will have to go to college tomorrow. You fear that you will be targeted again, but more power to you. And if anyone targets you, please tell us. We will continue to fight your fight, the fight of the ordinary student. Go and file an FIR. Test the police of this city. You are young students, and when I listen to you, I feel like being 21 again. That's all I can say. Thank you very much for coming and telling us your side of the story. And it's important to hear stories without the noise. That's what we want to hear. Honest, innocent voices of students who have given their side of the story. You can then judge who is left, who is right. As far as I'm concerned, I stay firmly in the center. Yesterday, we came to know that the country had grown at 7% in the third quarter. That's October to December. This despite note bandi or note ban of the government and demonetization in November. That's what the government told us. But that doesn't seem to have affected the farmers in this country. Only yesterday, the Madhya Pradesh government had to admit in the state assembly that 287 farmers have committed suicide since November 15th. And 818 farmers have committed suicide in just the last 8 months. This is not my figure. This is the first admission by the Shivraj Singh Chauhan government in MP on farmer suicides.
Prem Singh from Kahiri village in Madhya Pradesh's Sehor district is one of the 881 farmers who committed suicide since July last year. When the news broke, the state administration had blamed Pret Badha or evil forces for his death. Prem Singh's son has a more believable reason to offer. The farmer had run up a debt of more than 1 lakh rupees.
कर्जा था 40%, फसल भी गिर गई।
It has taken months for the Shivraj Singh Chauhan government to admit farmer suicides are real, but only after the opposition Congress put the administration on the mat with RTI applications and questions in the assembly.
अगर कृषि की ग्रोथ इतनी तेजी से अगर बढ़ रही है तो आत्महत्या क्यों बढ़ रही है, ये सवाल बहुत ज्यादा उठता है। सरकार आत्महत्या के एग्जैक्ट आंकड़े नहीं दे रहे हैं।
This week, the state government admitted that 818 suicides by farmers and agricultural laborers have taken place since July last year. Out of them, 287 suicides took place since November. The suicides are a rude jolt to the Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who takes pride in the high rate of agricultural growth in Madhya Pradesh. According to the state government, Madhya Pradesh has clocked double-digit growth even when rest of India was reeling from drought. The question arises, if Madhya Pradesh is shining indeed, then why are farmers still committing suicide? With Heminder Sharma in Bhopal, Bureau Report, India Today.
Remember, it's not just Madhya Pradesh. I will be putting up statistics about how in state after state farmer suicides, from Congress-controlled Karnataka to TRS-controlled Telangana to Samajwadi Party-controlled Uttar Pradesh to BJP-controlled Madhya Pradesh, farmers are committing suicide. Why are they committing suicide? Is that a question that you and I need to look at or not? Are we going to be carried away by 7% GDP? Hitesh Bajpai, Chairman Madhya Pradesh State Civil Supplies Corporation and leader of the BJP joining us. Harish Damodran, the country's foremost agriculture and rural affairs journalist, editor at the Indian Express joining me, and Avik Saha, convener of the Jai Kisan Andolan joining us. मैं पहले आपसे पूछता हूं हितेश बाजपेयी जी, 287 farmers have committed suicide in the last 3 months in Madhya Pradesh, over 800 in the last 9 months. क्या कहेंगे, ये क्यों हो रहा है? अगर 7% पर देश ग्रो कर रहा है तो किसान आत्महत्या क्यों कर रहा है? अगर मध्य प्रदेश में 10-12% की एग्रीकल्चर ग्रोथ रेट है तो किसान क्यों आत्महत्या कर रहा है?
True, and it has been investigated by NCRB also. So let me put the authentic way of dealing with this issue. No suicide is justifiable. First of all, I would like to say, whether it is student, farmer, or anybody else. And when in the figures are from 2014, that total number of 1,31,666 suicides happened in 2014. Out of that, 4.3% happened in only 4.3% happened in farmer section, which is nearly 50% of the country's population, number one. Out of that 4.3, only 37%, because NCRB conducted a research on that also, Rajdeep ji, and it mentioned that 37%, 20% bankruptcy related indebtedness was the reason, and 17% it was related to farming issues. So 37% of that 4.3 was related to farming. So it can come down to 2,000 farmers out of that 1,31,000. And when we see really the total number of total magnitude of the suicide which is happening, 28,000 family-related problems, people are committing suicide, 23,000 due to illnesses,
so are you
6,000 marriage-related.
Are you saying this has nothing to do with the vicious cycle of agriculture? Are you saying this has nothing to do with the vicious, particularly post-November? There has been a belief that post-demonetization, the Kisan has suffered in ways that are unimaginable. You believe that is a false analogy that I am drawing?
No, I am putting in a different perspective. I am putting in that manner that we are having a reduction in farmer suicide, though I am talking about these figures. Like we had more than 900 or 1,000 around that 2 or 3 years back. Now it has come down to 800. So I am not defending it. First of all, I am not that insane enough to defend all these things.
Sir,
the only thing is that Madhya Pradesh government is putting a lot of effort. But I would like to correct one thing.
Yes.
Once all of us should stop doing politics into this scene, and we must put our effort to really enrich them and get them the proper prices. The farmers are facing a lot of problems. That doesn't dilute their problem. And Madhya Pradesh is doing so. When Shailendra Patel, whom you were referring as RTI activist, he is basically MLA from Congress, and he was putting this information when his government was there were 16% was the interest rate for the farmers loan. It has come down to 0%, Rajdeep ji, in Madhya Pradesh, and has been followed in different states also. We are trying to solve out the problems the farmers are facing, and it's true that the farming is one of the difficult businesses, so-called businesses in the country, so we must have a concern over it, but by the time we should not defame it also.
Sir, I'm not defaming it, sir. It is not.
The
Sir, I'm not defaming it. Sir,
2% of the total your suicide rate.
Mr. Bajpai, I am trying to understand why so many farmers are committing suicide if the Madhya Pradesh government, as you say, is doing so much for them. This is not about not blaming anyone. I am trying to understand. I think we have had enough of blame games also on farming. So I want to come to Avik Saha. You heard what the minister is saying.
I would just like to add one more point.
Yes.
Just a point, Rajdeep ji.
Yes, boliye.
Just a point.
Yes.
That आपने जो बात कही है, I can put the list of what we are doing for the farmers. Like what additional we are doing for the farmers apart from other Congress and different kind of government.
Yes.
That is my government perspective, what we are doing for the farmers, and that I already mentioned you. So I think that should also come into the consideration.
Okay, let
Though
me,
it
sir,
is a national
let
issue,
me get
like
others
you said
now.
earlier, and we must fight it together.
So you are giving the Madhya Pradesh's government perspective, and I'm glad that we've got such an articulate spokesperson of the Madhya Pradesh government. I appreciate that. Avik Saha, you're the convener of the Jai Kisan Andolan. Respond to what you're hearing from Mr. Bajpai. He's saying don't blame the government, don't blame necessarily the Madhya Pradesh government or indeed any other government presumably. This is a larger problem afflicting agriculture in this country. Agrarian distress is an issue, and there could be many other reasons also for farm suicides. Your response?
Rajdeep, it is sad that within a span of a month, we are sitting again and discussing farmer suicide. Somewhere at the end of January, we spoke about Tamil Nadu farmers.
Yes.
Now, Hitesh ji is completely correct so far as his statistics are concerned. And I will admit that during my yatras, Jai Kisan Andolan's yatras, Madhya Pradesh seemed to have the best track record in compensation distribution to the farmers. Given that, the rest of the narrative is incorrect. I've just gone through the reply that his Home Minister has given in the MP Assembly. The statistics for the last 3 months, where 300 farmers have died, says that only one farmer died due to farming distress. The rest are all mental illness, love affairs. Is this something fair to say to farmers? If 300 politicians died and we said that they were dying because of love affairs, would Hitesh ji like it? What kind of an insult is this to the farmers? You know, the nation is in this Marie Antoinette moment. Cakes are being offered when bread is required. And this is what they have to understand. I don't want to hear Congress, I don't want to hear BJP. They are on the same side so far as neglect and disdain of farmers are concerned. And that is what they have to understand today.
Can I?
Reeling out statistics is not going to help the farmers.
But can I come to you,
They are
Harish?
dying.
No,
They are dying.
I take the fact that they are dying, and there is a Marie Antoinette moment. I think you put it beautifully. There is a Marie Antoinette moment in this country where we are simply not looking at what's happening with agrarian distress. But Harish Damodran, data is your strength. What does the data show? Are farm suicides on the rise, Harish? Is that true? Is it fair to say that the last 12 months have been even more difficult for farmers despite the fact that we had a bountiful monsoon?
Rajiv, I think 2 points. The first thing is, I agree that the Shivraj Singh government in Madhya Pradesh is more sensitive to the interests of farmers than most other governments. In fact, I think the problem here is more with the center than with the state governments. You know, in fact, I think Shivraj Singh Chauhan's government has been generally more sensitive to the sufferings of farmers. The real problem is with the center. See, right now, you just take a look at what is happening in pulses. This government announced such with lot of fanfare, you know, minimum support prices increase in pulses. Right now in Gulbarga, Arhar is selling for 4,000 rupees per quintal, you know, and moong prices have crashed in Rajasthan. Everywhere it is much below the minimum support price. And even today we have stock holding limits on pulses. We have export restrictions. These are still there. So I would primarily hold the center to be responsible more than state governments. Particularly, I would say like Madhya Pradesh and all has been pretty much the thing. See, over the last few years, the center has dismantled bonuses on wheat and on paddy, which state governments like Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, that too run by the BJP, were giving. You know, and we should also look at the fact that the last 2 years, you know, I mean, 2014 and 2015 were very bad years of drought. You know, definitely, I mean, if you look at farmers as companies, you know, their balance sheets would have really been whatever, you know, huge amounts of debts would have been built. So I would say that 2016 was a year when, you know, the monsoon was good, you know, and this is a year when they could have repaired their balance sheets. And probably the demonetization came at the wrong time. You know, this government is taking a lot of credit and, you know, rebound in production and all. That has not happened because of them. It has happened because of a good monsoon. You know, in fact, the rebound would have been better. You know, and I think the center was very insensitive when it came to demonetization. Just at the time when the kharif crop was being harvested. And I think all of you have done a lot of stories on potatoes in UP, you know, the way prices crashed, you know, and this is across all crops, you know. So I would say that that is the Modi government which is more insensitive than, say, Shivraj Singh Chauhan or anybody else.
You know, I wish I had more time. Harish, I wish I had more time. I have run completely out of time because my first discussion went over.
One more thing I just would like to say.
Yeah, I can only give you 30
13 of the
seconds.
states did not submit a single suicide report. 13 of the states, they are submitting zero data to NCRB. So this is how the NCRB collects the data also. That is very important to notice.
I take that point, but the fact remains that I don't think the Madhya Pradesh government also should look at every suicide sometimes linked to love affairs and issues other than agrarian distress. As I said on this panel, interestingly, many believe that the Shivraj Singh Chauhan government has been more sensitive to farmer needs than other state governments have been. But clearly, as Harish Damodaran and Mr. Saha are pointing out, this is a troubling moment for the Indian farmer. Remember, the farmer is the one who has possibly suffered the most in the last 3 months. Demonetization, as Harish puts it, came at the worst time for the farmer. And as Avik Saha says it, this is our Mary Antoinette moment if we don't look at the farmer's concerns more seriously. Thank you very much for joining me. Let's turn to what I call the good news today section. A huge sigh of relief for students in Kashmir as schools reopened in the valley after almost 8 months. And after a long and traumatic winter, schools who had winter vacations from December last year, but the shutters, remember, were down even in summer because of the Kashmir unrest, which began soon after the killing of Hizbul commander Burhan Wani in July last year. Today, the Kashmir children were back. And how were they welcoming the fresh season of learning? Take a look.
It's school time again. After 8 months of closed classrooms, students are back in uniform and ready to resume their studies, adding to the color and mood as spring takes root in the beautiful Kashmir Valley. Despite seasonal rainfall, children made their way to schools to resume lessons that were rudely interrupted last year.
आज फ्रेंड से मिलेंगे, टीचर से मिलेंगे, तो आज जितनी खुशी है वो बयां करने के लायक नहीं है. इतनी खुशी हो रही है हमें क्योंकि बहुत टाइम के बाद आज स्कूल खुल रहे हैं.
Last July, schools across Kashmir downed their shutters, forced to do so by the violence that broke out after Hizbul Mujahideen commander Burhan Wani was eliminated in an encounter. This shut-in was followed by a 2-month-long winter break. Students and parents are keeping their fingers crossed in hopes of a disturbance-free year ahead.
मेरे को ना बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि स्कूल खुल रहे हैं, बहुत बच्चे आ रहे हैं, फ्रेंड्स भी आ रहे हैं, टीचर्स भी आ रहे हैं, एजुकेशन भी मिल जाएंगी. बहुत खुशी हो रही है इस टाइम स्कूल आते हुए.
बच्चे बड़े 2-4 दिन से पहले उतावले थे कि स्कूल बहुत बोर किए थे घरों में, ये तो बड़े उतावले थे. अब जब इन्होंने जैसे ईद का समय लग रहा है स्कूल में.
While the winter lull in most of the schools ended today, some schools in snow-covered areas will reopen on March 13th.
Children are much excited after so long. They are once again in the school. The parents as well as the children believe that after this long unrest, they believe that probably the situation will improve and schools will function as normal. With cameraman Roof Ahmed, Ashraf Wani for India Today in Srinagar.
Let's hope that they have a peaceful 2017. That's all one can pray for, peace in the valley. Okay, I want to leave you tonight with an interesting story. Now, they've been partners on the pitch, opening batsmen for India for years, but the heated debate over Gurmeher Kaur seems to have divided them after Virinder Sehwag allegedly was accused of mocking Gurmeher for her comments on Twitter. Gautam Gambhir has posted a video in Gurmeher's support. We leave you with images where he conveys more the freedom of expression is absolute and equal for all. High time we learnt and practiced it daily in every sphere of life. All I can say is touche. Good night. Goodbye.